If you're about to head off to college, or you're a parent with a child about to fly the coop, these money tips will help prepare you or your child to handle financial matters on their own or your own. I'll be speaking directly to high school grads, but of course, if you're a parent, you'll still be able to glean some important tips to pass on to your newly adult child. Here at Triggator, we're all about helping you keep track of your money, save for the future, and pay off debt fast. If you're on board with that, please hit the like and subscribe buttons, and don't forget to get notified when we put up new videos that we share each week. Now, on to the best money tips for high school grads. First, you'll need to create a written budget every month, or even better, every paycheck. I know that budgeting may sound boring or restricting, but budgeting is absolutely necessary. Having a budget tells you what is happening with your money. If you want to have money for long, you need to be in control of it, and that means taking care of it with a budget. Create a written budget at least every month. I'm even a strong advocate for creating a budget for every paycheck. This way, every time you get paid, you're keeping track of the money and not just keeping track of bills. You're going to start being responsible for paying your own bills on time. If you know how to budget and make it a habit, you will be better off with starting a family and running your own household. Included in this habit should be reconciling your checking account on a regular basis. Be aware of pending charges so you can avoid overdraft and late fees. Next, live below your means. This means don't spend all your money all at once. Keep your expenses within the limits of your income. Life as a college student can bring back fond memories for us as adults, and part of these fond memories are the junky items that we owned and lived with. We might have had a giant wooden spool for an end table or a desk made of an old door propped up on cinder blocks. It's okay not to have all the nice things right now. Going without for a while and learning to make it on your own will offer a sense of pride and gratitude for the nice things that you will acquire later in life. It will also create better spending habits if you can tell yourself no and learn to save up for the things that you want. My next tip is to use a cash envelope system. Using cash can be a great way to stick to a budget and avoid overspending. You will learn to stay within the limits and recognize how fast your money can be spent, because when it's gone, it's gone. If you're working, you will have to wait until payday before you can refill your envelopes. So for cash envelopes, you set aside a certain amount of money into an envelope. So let's say you have $100 for groceries. You stuff the $100 into an envelope and mark it for food. Create other envelopes for other categories. Any money that comes out of the envelope must be for the category you designated. Only food can come from the food envelope. You shouldn't be putting gas in your car or buying clothes. You should have other envelopes to budget for those things. The nice thing is if you want to buy a pizza, go for it. As long as there's money in the envelope, you can spend it on whatever you want for food. But be mindful of what you buy, because once your envelope runs out, you can't buy anything else until you can refill your envelope. I really love this method because if you follow the rules and only spend what you've allocated, it forces you to stay in control of your spending. It also allows you to spend money guilt-free. So if you've got money that you need for clothes and you need to spend it on clothes, then you can go ahead and do that. Next, learn to save now. I once had a friend in high school who worked a part-time job from the time that she turned 16, and her parents would take half of her paycheck. Half. So they would tuck it into savings, and at the time I thought that her parents were so mean. It was her money, she worked for it, she earned it, she should be able to spend it any way that she wanted, right? So now, many years later, I think her parents were amazing for making her save her money. So I was wrong and they were right. My friend, because of this, was able to go to college and pay for it herself. She continued to work and save, and when she got married, she had cash to pay for her wedding. When she was expecting her first child, she had money to buy a nicer car with cash. And she never had to go into debt for anything. She lives very modest income, but she doesn't struggle because she knows how to budget and save. So how nice would that be? So whether you're saving for a big purchase like a TV or a bigger bed, or saving for a rainy day, or maybe even starting retirement, saving should start now. It will set you up for a lifelong life of success. So learn about compound interest. In conjunction with saving, make sure that you know how to save for retirement and what compound interest is. If you get this concept at a young age, you can potentially retire young as a multimillionaire. The basic idea is if you make an investment, you will earn interest. Eventually, your interest will also earn interest, which means your money will multiply faster without extra effort on your part. Compounding interest is absolutely necessary to beat inflation so that your money maintains or exceeds the value over the course of a long period of time. Next, make sure you learn about insurance. I bought my first car when I was 19 and nobody helped me or talked to me about what to do. I thought I was smart enough to figure it out on my own. So I worked out how much that I could afford for a car payment. And I thought I did a pretty good job until that I found out about insurance. I didn't even honestly think about car maintenance or gas, all of which you should know before you buy a car. But believe it or not, I had no idea that you had to have insurance or how much it would cost because I was only 19. So I didn't get on my parents' insurance. That wasn't an option. And while you may be covered for on your parents' insurance or health insurance or other insurance for a while, eventually you're going to have to pay for insurance on your own. There are many insurances to know about, so please talk to somebody that you know who is experienced and values insurance to get specific guidance for what you're going to need. An emergency fund will help cover the deductible or anything else the insurance doesn't cover, like co-pays, prescriptions maybe, or if you got in an accident. So insurance won't cover everything, but it's great to have when something does come up. Next, a credit card should not be used for an emergency fund. To save for an emergency, you might have to work a summer job and save up. I'd recommend you have at least a month worth of living expenses or $1,000, whichever is more. So this money should not be touched unless there's an actual emergency. And a credit card can be dangerous to rely on if you use them improperly. It can be difficult to control impulsive spending or recognize the consequences of maxing out that credit card. I want to set you up for success and avoid financial mistakes from the get-go. So if you avoid having a credit card, it can avoid undue stress and accumulating a mountain of debt straight out of high school. Next, make sure you don't live off your student loans. Hopefully you're financially well prepared to go to college and you won't need to rely on student loans. Ideally, you should not use student loans to pay for your education, but I know this isn't possible for many families. So if you're considering using student loans, keep them to the absolute minimum. Here are a few tips that can help you pay for college and keep the student loans down. So pay for as much schooling, books, supplies, fees, room and board, anything you can with cash. Perhaps start at a local community college and complete your general education where the tuition and the fees are less. And then if you need to, you can later transfer to a four-year college to get your big degree. Attend an in-state college so that you don't pay higher tuition. You can rent books instead of buying them, but if you have to buy a book, try and sell it back and then use that money to buy your next set of books. Decide on your major before you take core classes, because if you're continually switching, you'll pay extra for classes. You could take advantage of free classes if you attend college full-time. Some colleges will allow a range of credits that are within the same price. So for example, 12 to 18 credits might be the same price for tuition. If they were 3 credits each, you could take 4 classes, 5 classes, or 6 classes for the same cost. So that ultimately would lead you to saving for paying classes later on. Don't rely on student loans for living expenses. You shouldn't be going deep into debt to buy groceries or pay bills like utilities. Don't accept more student loans than you need. When I was in college and I used student loans, I would occasionally get a check in the mail for any unused loans amount that I didn't use. And it seemed like free fun money, but it was part of the loan and it needed to be paid back with interest. So you don't have to accept extra money if you don't need it. My next tip is to not lend money to your roommates or your friends if you want it back. So we've probably had someone who wanted to bum money off us at some time, and the life lesson is that lending money to family and friends just can make things awkward. There are certain circumstances where someone might really be in a jam and need financial help, and so whether you decide to help them or not is your call, but there is a chance that they won't pay you back. So you don't want to cause tension or fights if they are not able to pay you back. So just make it a rule: if you give someone money, don't expect to get it back. Consider it a gift, and that way it doesn't sour any relationships. So now I have some bonus tips for parents. If you're a parent and you've stuck with me this far, I have a few extra tips for you. If you're a student, definitely listen, but don't be offended at what I have to say. So number one, parents, you are not an ATM machine. Part of your child growing up is for them to learn how to use money. They won't learn a whole lot if they run out of money constantly and want you to refill their wallet. So if they aren't really good with money, let them get some experience by using it on their own, and you might let them run out of money and experience going without. Emergencies might warrant helping them out, but still don't give them money directly. If they run out of food, you can go to the store and buy some food with them. If they need help with their bills, maybe just send the payment directly to the company to pay the bill and insist that they pay you back on that. The second thing is let them make mistakes. Mistakes are a wonderful thing. We learn from our mistakes and we grow from adversity. It's okay for your children to make mistakes and to learn from them. I'll admit it's tempting to step in and save the day, and it's terrible to watch them struggle. But it's an amazing feeling when you get to see them pull through and work out their mistake on their own. And third, encourage them to work. I know college is demanding. I've been there, done that. Probably you have too. That doesn't mean your child can't have a job during college. I know there are special circumstances, perhaps like a full-time ride or a full ride scholarship that won't permit students to work. But in most cases, they should be able to get at least a part-time job to work through college. And it readies them for the real world and helps them become financially independent. You might take the opportunity to help them with their schedule for the first couple of semesters, help them work out class times that allow them to study and complete their school day before heading off to a night job, or vice versa if they go to school at night. I used to leave a 1 hour gap between my classes for homework. For example, math. I'd take a math class and then I'd leave an hour gap before my next class, and then I'd go find a spot on campus to get my math homework done. And then it didn't interfere with my work schedule, and I just worked part-time. So if you're a parent, what do you wish that you had been told before heading off to college about money? Or what are some of the best tips that you have to help high school students going off to college? And those of you flying the coop, what are your biggest financial concerns? What do you feel like would help you be more confident with money? Comment those below and be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. We'll see you next time.